What a beauty.
This is a E Type Jag. Today we're going to be stripping this bonnet.
The paint looks lovely. What's wrong with it?
It wasn't painted that well. So I stripped a piece here last year and check out the bog.
Wow, how thick.
I mean, it's mega thick and it's got moisture behind it. Spray, wait, keep it wet, scrub it. Are you looking for a stripper? A stripper that really gets it off? Cooper's, the stripper that gets it off every time. So this is the stripper. So sometimes you tweak the jet to get it going good. I've done a little bit here just before, and I'll tell you a little bit about what we found. This is where spraying is amazing. It's getting into all these fins. We're in a well ventilated area. Before you start any project, it's really good to know what the lay of the land is and what's here. So what we think we've got is Jaguar's original recipe at the bottom there, some blackish etch primer or something like that. And then on top of that, there's an undercoat. And then on top of that, there's the top coats. And then it's had repairs done, as I showed you before, with the bog in the back left corner. And then they've put this grey sort of undercoaty type stuff on there. And then they've got top coats on top of that. So there's a lot of paint to get through, but they always do get through. So even though I'm spraying what appears to be a lot of product, I mean, so far I've only used a couple 100 mil, I'm actually 150 mil. A lot of squirts that put a litre of stripper on. I think when this car was repainted recently, in the last few years, there was no taking off the chrome or anything. You've got the original paints there next to the new lot. A few things left to be desired. And you can hear in parts of it where it's hitting the metal, and then it gets thicker again. So it's interesting that there's different thicknesses. It's good temperature today where it's overcast. It's not too hot, not too cold. You wouldn't have this out in the direct sun, but you'd lose a lot of product to evaporation. You don't have to like sand it first or put it on and wrap it in plastic or any of that sort of stuff. It just absorbs in on its lonesome. It doesn't need any help. Wow. So I'll just show you what I've been using here. This is a tungsten blade. I've taken the tips off with a diamond file, and it's a little bit like shearing a sheep, if any is shorn a sheep. And that is, because if I drag along there, I'm going to put a gouge there and there. So when you're doing these sort of areas here, you're going down the other way. So you just be mindful of where the curves are. And I can see there's a pinky stuff, so there's body filler being used there. So I'm just going to scrape away. So this grey stuff all looks like that spray putty. You can see how little pressure I'm putting on. I mean, I'm just holding it with the tips of my fingers. I'm not, and the sound you can hear is the blade just sliding over the steel. So we're not got any cut-in pressure. Interesting, all this grinding. This has got a lot more body filler in it. The thicker the finish, the more stripper it takes and the more time it takes. This is a European steel wool. It's very long stranded, sharp, doesn't crumble like normal steel wools you'd use. On there, it's pretty straightforward.
Just needs graffiti on it now to be perfect.
Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're stripping it on again, steel wool scrubbing through the spray putty. There's still some there, but we'll put on some more stripper. While we're carrying on with the main part, this will just keep softening. That's where there's been some repairs done. You can see all the grinder marks. I'm just sliding it over the surface. So, steel wool. So all this stuff we're taking off is putty. There's no longer paint. The system is a cold system. It's not like with heat build up with blasting and things, so there's no damage to the bonnet itself. spray, wait, keep it wet,
Yeah.
let it dissolve like this, and then scrub it, because the putty's not going to bubble like sand enamel paint.
Yeah, so that smell is completely uninvasive. See, I've got asthma, it's not affecting me at all. You're just out there, my man.
And so the last part we've been doing is stripping fillers. So a lot of people want to know if it'll strip filler. Well, the answer is yes. So we call these a detail brush, and because we're doing the detailing with it.
We get asked too, Simon, what is it like on the rubbers?
Yeah, that's short-term exposure is fine, but if you're doing a major strip back like this, get rid of, get all the rubbers out of the way. It will soften them over time.
What about the glass?
Glass is again, it's fine if it's glass. If it's got a like a cellophane sheet over the top of it, and then it'll remove that as well. And for the new paint, we want some of the paint to actually absorb into the metal. So this is a grit embedded pad. It's like a nylon type weave, and it's got these grits embedded into it, 180 grit, and we're just going to give the surface a scrub, and it's got the stripper on there wet and that. I'm going to put my clean gloves on, otherwise I'm going to cross-pollinate red. Okay, so the stripper is, as you know, it's thin, and we've let it soak in, and the idea, we've basically taken everything that's off the surface with the procedures leading up to this. Any finish that's in there is being dissolved. When you've created a bit of a slurry, get it off onto the rag. It means you're going to use less of our rinse part that's coming out next. This is a slow drying solvent,
Or spirit?
and its job is to remove residues. So we're using a clean pad. So we use a slow drying solvent because, or spirit, because we want time to work with it. If you use lacquer thinners, one, it stinks and highly flammable, but it dries back the residues. With this, you've got a bit more time to work with it. Now where the blades have slid across, there's no gouges or anything like that. There's no sort of, someone might be looking and go, you've scratched it, but we have not scratched it.
You polished it.
Yes, it has. So the stripper, you put it on, you leave it on. The flusher, you don't. The flusher is you're spraying it, you're scrubbing it, you're spraying it, and you're wiping it as you go.
And it's easy while the residues of all of that paint and stuff are still soft.
Dead right, good point. You don't do this flushing tomorrow because the residues will have all dried back in hard, and now you're going to use more flusher and more elbow grease. So if there was a surface that you strip that has absolutely no damage that needs repairing, then technically when this dries, it's ready for painting. Shiny fins. So the grits, they get into those little scratch marks that the grinder has done. And if it is lead, which it may well be, this is wet, so there's no lead absorption from me.
Simon, show us the amount of paint that's bonnet.
Yes. So there's no harm to you because who knows what the paint's been made of and what's within it, and that doesn't matter because it's all wet. Well, it's all work, and then all of a sudden it's done. Cooper's, the stripper that gets it off every time.